You walk into a room. You laugh a little too loudly. You trip over one word, one step, one tiny mistake. Hours later, you're still replaying it. But almost nobody else is. That gap between what you think everyone noticed and what they actually noticed has a name: the spotlight effect. And it quietly shapes almost every social decision you make. You feel like the center of everyone's attention. Your brain treats every glance as evidence, every pause as judgment, every silence as disapproval. But the story begins long before psychologists gave it a name. Humans evolved in small groups, maybe 30 people, maybe 50. Your survival depended on your reputation. If the group rejected you, food became scarce, protection disappeared. Your brain learned one simple rule: pay attention to how other people see you. That instinct never left. The world changed. The brain didn't. Then came the experiment that made the phenomenon famous. The year was 2000. Cornell University. Psychologists Thomas Gilovich, Victoria Medvec, and Kenneth Savitsky wanted to test a strange idea. Do people really think others notice them more than they actually do? They recruited college students. Each participant wore an embarrassingly bright T-shirt featuring singer Barry Manilow. At the time, many students considered the shirt uncool. The participant walked into a room filled with strangers. Then they left. Afterward, researchers asked one question: how many people noticed the shirt? Most participants guessed around half the room had noticed. Reality was very different. Only about 23% actually remembered it. People weren't staring. They were thinking about themselves. The experiment became one of psychology's most famous demonstrations. Because you don't just wear a shirt, you wear your fears. The same pattern appears everywhere. You stumble during a presentation. You assume everyone noticed. You send a text with a typo. You think people are laughing. You get a pimple before an important meeting. You believe it's the first thing everyone sees. But what are they actually thinking about? Their own presentation, their own text, their own skin. Everyone feels like the main character, which means almost nobody is watching yours. Another study expanded the idea. Also at Cornell, researchers found people consistently overestimated how obvious their emotions were. They called it the illusion of transparency. You think your anxiety is visible. You think everyone can hear it in your voice, see it in your face, feel it in your handshake. But observers detect far less than you expect. Your internal experience feels enormous. From the outside, it barely registers. The brain makes a simple mistake. It cannot escape its own perspective. You experience your thoughts in high definition. Everyone else sees only the surface. That difference changes everything. Then social media arrived, and the spotlight became portable. You post a photo. Nobody likes it for 20 minutes. Your heart sinks. Did people hate it? Did they judge you? Or were they simply making dinner, driving home, watching television, living lives that have almost nothing to do with yours? Platforms reward visibility, but they also amplify self-consciousness. The camera points outward. Your attention points inward. Every notification feels personal. Every silence feels intentional, even when neither is true. Which brings us to the first challenge. Round 1. Maybe people really are paying attention. Sometimes they are. Researchers studying social evaluation have shown that humans quickly notice faces, expressions, status, clothing. Your appearance does matter. First impressions form within seconds. Some studies suggest they begin in less than 1/10 of 1 second. So doesn't that prove everyone is judging you? Not quite. Because noticing isn't remembering. Looking isn't caring. A stranger may glance at your shoes. 5 minutes later they're gone from memory. Attention is brief. Memory is selective. Your brain combines the two into one illusion. Round 2. Maybe anxiety makes you more accurate. Perhaps nervous people detect social threats better. There is some truth there. Research on social anxiety shows heightened awareness of negative cues. But it comes with a cost. The interpretation becomes distorted. In 1998, psychologists Jennifer Mansell and colleagues found socially anxious individuals often overestimated how negatively others evaluated them. The signal exists. The volume gets turned to high. Round 3. Maybe embarrassing moments really do stick. Sometimes they do. People remember extraordinary events. A speech interrupted by a fire alarm. Someone fainting during graduation. A celebrity falling on live television. But everyday mistakes. The wrong word. The awkward laugh. The spilled coffee. Psychologists call another bias the fading affect effect. Emotional intensity weakens over time. Especially for observers. You replay the moment for weeks. Everyone else forgets before lunch. And yet, some stories refuse to fit neatly inside the theory. Take Professor Robert Kelly. March 2017. Live interview. BBC News. He was discussing South Korean politics. Then his young daughter marched into the room. Moments later, his baby rolled in behind her. The internet watched millions of times. His private embarrassment became global entertainment. Was that the spotlight effect? Not exactly, because this time everyone really was watching. But even here, something unexpected happened. People remembered the children, the chaos, the humanity. Very few remembered what tie he wore, or whether he stumbled over his words. The spotlight landed somewhere completely different than he expected. Then there was Steve Harvey, Miss Universe, 2015, Las Vegas. He announced the wrong winner. One of the biggest live television mistakes in recent history. People remembered the error, but ask them what color suit he wore, or his exact wording. Most can't answer. Even unforgettable moments have blurry edges. The spotlight is narrower than you think. Then there's Jennifer Lawrence, the 2013 Academy Awards. She tripped while walking up the stairs to accept her Oscar. Millions saw it happen. For many celebrities, that would have become a permanent mark. Instead, audiences largely responded with affection. Her mistake made her seem more human. Psychologists call this the Pratfall Effect, first described by Elliot Aronson in 1966. Competent people often become more likable after making a small mistake. Sometimes your flaw doesn't lower people's opinion, it raises it. So what exactly are you afraid of? Being seen? Or being judged?